Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I'm noticing a number of analysts are expecting things to really heat up, not just for Bitcoin, but for the entire crypto market, and certainly including XRP. There's one XRP chart analyst I'll show you a little bit later in the video who says that June or July is the time for XRP to start rocketing up in price. I'll share with you a chart that this particular analyst put out recently on social media platform X. There's also another chart analyst in the XRP community who says, and I quote, "The next couple of months will be epic," end quote. And I will not be surprised if that ages like a fine wine. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 9:17 p.m. Central Time, my time zone, on Sunday, May 26, 2024. XRP, 53.1 cents. I have a feeling it's not going to stay there forever. Definitely not much longer. There's Bitcoin at $69,243. And so we just continue to range sideways. You got Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 74 out of 100, so market is still in greed. I want to briefly mention something that I bring up from time to time, which is the very obvious fact that if you look at charts, and you don't even have to be a chart guy, I'm not, but if you look at how the stock market moves, you will notice that the crypto asset class moves in correlation with it, in particular for the biggest of moves. I mean, one of my favorite examples of that would be March of 2020 with all the pandemic stuff going down. Think about how the stock market just tanked, and the entire crypto asset class did at the same time. Bitcoin tanked, XRP got down to like 10 or 11 cents depending on what exchange you went to, although that was very short-lived. But what's going on right now? Well, you know, in January, before Bitcoin had hit new all-time highs for this market cycle, there's still that question of, is it going to happen? And I acknowledged at the time, I was like, I don't know, I'm not even a chart guy, but my suspicion is yes. And I cited one of my reasons for believing that, and there are tons of reasons actually, but one in particular is that, especially after the S&P 500 hit a new all-time high, it's just a fact that dating back to like the 1950s, 12 out of the last 13 times that happened, if you fast forward a year later, the market would be higher. Stock market would be higher, on average about 16%. And since we know that crypto moves in tandem with that, I was like, I mean, that was just one thing, but I think it's an important one. But the concerning thing is we weren't seeing at the time, and still aren't seeing sufficiently now, I'd argue, expansion in these markets. And so you can look at the Russell 2000, which is what's on your screen right now, and these are smaller cap stocks, and they're just substantially lagging behind the S&P 500. So how is it that we're going to see crazy highs a year later and see crypto go on some additionally crazy runs if we're not seeing true expansion in the stock market? Because that would be different. Or are we going to see expansion in the stock market? And so my for fun bet is that we are going to see expansion. And I remember the blockchain backer, I think it was in January at some point, I want to say, he noted that it looked like to him that the Russell 2000 was in Wyckoff accumulation. And so if that's indeed the case, then it is just a matter of time before it goes with the rest of the market and you do see true expansion. That's when things go bananas, right? That's what we're hoping for. So here's a Russell 2000 chart, and this was shared by chart analyst Peter Brandt, one of the most well-known analysts in all of crypto, 728,900 followers on social media platform X. And he noted that there have been some breakout attempts for the Russell 2000 in recent months. Hadn't happened yet, hadn't actually broken out. You haven't seen expansion yet. But Peter Brandt wrote, "Third time a charm. Russell 2000 headed to 2,400. Take this one to the bank." And so I don't doubt that that's likely to be true, and I thought about what the blockchain backer said several months ago. It looked like Wyckoff accumulation, so if that's indeed the case, yes, it breaks out at some point. Yes, it's been trailing larger cap stocks, including tech stocks, but okay. That's fine. There's historic precedent for this, for the Russell 2000 lagging behind by 10 to 12 months. Absolutely, that's happened before. But we want to see this go, because if this goes, I mean, then everything makes sense, including your altcoins, which is why I wanted to talk about this before we get into Bitcoin alts and ultimately XRP. And I got a bunch of XRP stuff for you, so stick around. Here's a post from chart analyst Rect Capital. It's a Bitcoin USD chart. And he said, "It looks like Bitcoin is going to weekly close below the range high of its current reaccumulation. This would likely sentence Bitcoin to continued consolidation within the reaccumulation range. in line with historical post-halving price tendencies. Okay, and so you guys know, if you've been listening for a little bit, I don't buy into the halving narrative. I don't think that makes sense. There are lots of people that disagree. Rect Capital is clearly one of them. But still, he's just indicating here that he does think that we got a little bit more ranging before we finally see things take off to the upside. Here's a post from chart analyst Blockchain BB. I'm going to share with you part of what you wrote. Bitcoin update for investors. No change. We will see $74,000 to $75,000 soonish. We may see a minor retracement to $63,000 to $66,000 after $74,000 before the last phase of Wyckoff to $75,000 again around September. And so even if we have to wait until September, it's not that far away. I mean, this year, it's been very fun so far. The best part, the most fun part of this year, I do believe is yet ahead. Whether it's next month or July or all the way out to the end of September, whatever it ends up being, just be patient. We're going to get ours. Here's a post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto. This is a market cap Bitcoin dominance percentage chart. And he wrote, #altcoins. Alts are about to experience massive recovery rally as Bitcoin dominance begins its descent. And this is how it goes every single market cycle. So it's just a matter of when, not if, so far as I'm concerned. Bitcoin can continue and likely will continue going up in price. But altcoins ultimately outpace. Money flows out of Bitcoin from some investors, and then that does flow into alts, and then there's so little money in alts, it doesn't take much to get a doubling, tripling, quadrupling effect on those altcoins. There's way less money in them, and that's how things progress. And in fact, let me pull up this. Yeah, let's pull up this. This is a post from Charting Guy, Bitcoin USD chart, and he's kind of making the same point here. Look at this. This is an interesting chart. He wrote, Bitcoin price discovery equals alt season. Well, why is that? Well, you can take a look and see what happened. This chart goes back to 2015. What actually happened? Well, the top chart is a Bitcoin USD chart, and the bottom chart is market cap Bitcoin dominance percentage. So you can see during the craziest mania in 2017 here, Bitcoin price is going up, but the dominance was going down because altcoins were outpacing Bitcoin. It didn't mean Bitcoin wasn't doing well. It just meant that, frankly, that's just how it always turns out to be at this point, Bitcoin's about the least exciting thing to invest in the entire asset class at this point. I mean, what are you going to get what if you get a 2 or 3x investing in Bitcoin now? Is that really what we're here for? Well, there are a lot of regular people who don't know any better and will think, yes, oh, well, and okay, to each their own. I don't think it makes sense at this point in the market cycle, but hey, to each their own. Or I could be wrong. I'm just a dude on the internet, But here you can see the market cycle after that, the one from just a few years ago. Same thing. Bitcoin price goes up. Dominance for Bitcoin goes down. And so he's pointing out here, we are at this moment where we're expecting Bitcoin to continue to go up higher, dominance goes down. That's when the alt season starts really coming in melting phases. And there have been some coins that have run already this market cycle, but if you're talking about a true alt season, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Here's a post from Charting Guy talking about Bitcoin. He says Bitcoin is still following 2017 to a T. The fractal is too parabolic for today, in my opinion, so I drew my estimated price action, which is the blue line. Once Bitcoin breaks into real price discovery soon, by beginning of June, in my opinion, then we should top roughly 240 days after, in my opinion, at $140,000 to $180,000. Okay, so think about that, though. If you buy Bitcoin now, you're going to get 2 to a little bit less than a 3x if that ends up being the case. Not really appealing to me. Now, of course, that's not the key point of this post. I'm just mentioning it. But that will be exciting to see Bitcoin go up that high. I'll finally sell my Bitcoin. I've been holding it since 2017. If you get up to the 6-figure range, I might sell some closer to 90,000 even. Keep in mind, I was buying this when Bitcoin when it was in the thousands. I just have it still. I've held it over 6 years. Just like I've held my ETH, I've held my XRP. I just hold, and it works. You buy, and then you do nothing, and then you get really, really, really wealthy. That's pretty much the plan. People have a real hard time with that, though. They love to get in and out of positions. They think they're smarter. They feel like they have to do stuff, and I just feel like, nope, I have data showing that if I do stuff, I'm likely to screw this up for myself, because that's what happens with most investors. So I'm just not going to. I just don't participate. I do nothing. And it works. Wouldn't you know it? Yes, I've been waiting over 6 years, but it works. And I think this will finally be the market cycle where I get to sell, so I'm excited for this. But anyway, this is coming. Then there was this, XRP from Charting Guy, XRP USD chart here. And he said, XRP 2017 fractal update. June/July is the time, in my opinion. And so you can see what his expectation is for this. You're looking at XRP, June or July, ramping up to, a bit above, initially it looks like, above where it was at its peak last market cycle, going up to above $2. Is expecting, well, I mean, if the fractal plays out, then you'd expect a dramatic move to the downside, back to $1.10 or something, and then another major move above all-time highs finally, ultimately getting up to, looks like, $15, $16, $17 range, something like that, which for crypto is normal. I know XRP is a large cap coin, but there's not that much money in it, in my humble opinion. So could it do that this market cycle? Well, I'm not going to make a prediction it will. I don't make price predictions because I don't know what's going to happen with XRP price. But I think it's totally reasonable to suppose that it could this market cycle. That's not crazy. It definitely could. And so as far as the exciting moves, when are they coming? Sooner than later, folks. If he's right, June or July, and we're going to find out together. I hope he is right. And then somebody wrote to him named Frank and said, the potential is there, but I'm guessing that there needs to be a catalyst for such moves. And Charting Guy responded, no catalyst needed. Charts, Astro, and cycles are all I need. I do imagine a catalyst will come out to explain the price action for the masses. Yeah, so that's always how it happens. When XRP does start going, whatever is happening in the moment in the XRP ecosystem, there will be something to point to and say, that's why it happened. But the truth is, stuff just happens. It just does. And a lot of the time, perhaps most of the time, it's just people being speculative in nature, and that just results eventually in big moves. Like, that's mostly it. Real world events can happen that trigger things. Sure, I'll certainly acknowledge that. And sometimes when that happens, though, it's like it was going to happen in the charts, and then it's the straw that broke the camel's back anyway, so is what it is. Here's a post from chart analyst E. Greg Crypto. This is an XRP USD chart. He's mega bullish as well. You love to see it. And how could you not be? Unless you're some sort of irrational XRP hater, you're going to be bullish here, right? Or if you just don't know better. There are people who are newer to crypto. There are the types who are just really emotional, who are pro XRP. I get that. But it doesn't make sense to be anything but bullish here, in my humble opinion. So here's what Greg Crypto had to say. XRP similar pattern. Next pump to 75 cents. XRP is dipping below the 100 MA moving average, consolidating and then pumping above it. The next pump should start, close above the 100 MA, and hold it as support to confirm the breakout. This time, the close above the 100 MA will be significant. XRP Army, stay steady. The next couple of months will be epic. Just stay steady. So more sentiment, this from another analyst saying, yeah, the next couple months probably going to be pretty hot, probably pretty fantastic for XRP. And so that's why I cited at the outset of the video, I noticed that there are a handful of analysts who are expecting moves like this sooner than later, than the next couple months here. Here's a post from chart analyst Nick Crypto Crusader, also expecting moves sooner than later. You're going to love this. He writes, there is so much money to be made still this cycle. Within the next 2 months, see this recurring theme? 2 months, you will see this entire space wake up significantly. I'm expecting the middle of June / beginning of July when we start to see the real fireworks. The honest truth is that no matter how ready you think you aren't. What's about to happen is going to mess with your emotions significantly. You need to block them out now. The only goal you should have is make sure you don't lose money. Take profits and ensure you are getting paid for your time in this market. Let's win together this cycle. Yeah, so a couple things worth mentioning in regards to this. Of course, the timeline again. Keep seeing this. Won't be surprised if these analysts are indeed correct, but even if we have to wait a little longer than that, oh gosh darn, gotta wait another month for my life-changing wealth. It's never gonna happen. Shut up. And then as far as, people not being sufficiently prepared, well, I've spoken about this a little bit. I feel like I'm pretty ready. I think I'm going to handle it pretty well, but I've acknowledged, I don't have any trouble with the bear market stuff and accumulating and being down for years on end on certain investments. That really doesn't bother me. It genuinely doesn't. But when I see that there's, on paper, life-changing wealth for me, it could start to get stressful. I mean, yeah, it's great. You're like, whoa, that's gigantic. Okay. But then there's that whole thing of, sell now, but it could 10x, so I think I'm going to be good in the end, and I will ultimately force myself to sell when it makes sense. But there are a lot of moving parts to this, and it depends on which coins take off when, and then are cryptocurrency exchanges going to be down. There are all sorts of things where it may feel a certain way, and that might hit me because I'm not really used to that, because I haven't been in a position where I'm seriously like, yeah, I'm going to sell. This is the closest I've ever been to that, and I think I will be there this cycle. So the last couple cycles, it was exciting and fun, but I didn't really feel any stress about it. This one could be different, but I am anticipating from myself, because I'm very strong-willed and I'm good at sticking to plans, even though my plan is a rough plan because there's too many dynamics that could change. I think I'll be fine with that. But think through this for yourself, because when you're in those moments, like I've seen too many stories of people after the fact stating, man, I had life-changing wealth and I didn't sell, and then it just crashed down like 80, 90% and just wrote it down. And so I've ridden through volatility great that's of that magnitude, but I wasn't going to sell anyway because I wasn't enticed. What I'm saying is, if you're enticed to sell and then the greed sets in, just have a quick talk with yourself. You cannot sell the top. If your idea is, maybe I shouldn't sell it now because it could go higher, you don't quit aiming for the top. You will fail. You will just get that out of your head. It ain't going to happen. Don't make that a goal. It's not a goal for me personally. I'm expecting to leave plenty of money on the table in that sense, and that's okay because I can't do differently than that. You can't either. Make peace with that. Just sell when it makes sense for you to sell, and only you can answer that. But it's coming this cycle. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.